Hi guys, so Halaziz here and welcome back to another video. So today I'm gonna talk about the practice test versus the real test of Duolingo English test. I've already made a video about it, but still I'm constantly getting a lot of comments on my videos, and also I'm getting numerous DMs on Instagram where people are asking this one question: that is Duolingo English test the real test different from the practice test? Is the real test harder than the practice test? In these kind of numerous questions. So in this video, I'm going to thoroughly talk about all the differences in comparisons of the practice test versus the real test of Duolingo. So stick till the end and like, subscribe. Alright, so the first difference between the practice test and the real test of Duolingo English test is in the rules. When you're taking the practice test, you're not required to obey any kind of rules regarding the Duolingo English test. I mean, if you're taking the practice test, you can look away from the screen as many times as you want. You can use your phone, you can just talk to your friends can just sit beside you and you can take the test of Duolingo English test, and still you will get the estimated result for your practice test. But in the real test of Duolingo English test, you must follow each and every rule of Duolingo English test, and if you break even one rule out of the rules and regulations of Duolingo English test, then your test will be invalid and you will not get the result for your test, and you must just retake the test again in order to get the results. So this is the one difference between the practice test and real test. The second difference between the practice test and the real test is in the question types. Alright, so I'm getting this question: that is the real test different from the practice test? And I have to clarify one thing, that the real test, the question types that you are getting in the practice test are completely the same with the ones that you are getting in the actual test of Duolingo English test. But the only difference in the question types is that in the real test, you will get interactive listening and interactive reading part twice, while in the practice test you will get that only once. But in the real test, you are getting them twice. So that's the difference between them. Another difference between the practice and real test is uh, with the time of the test. So the practice test is a bit shorter than the actual test of Duolingo English test. Like you can take the practice test within 40 to 50 minutes, but if you're taking the real test of Duolingo English test, that will take 1 to 1.5 hours. And what I mean by that is, at the start of the test, you're required to verify your identity, and then some checkups will be done, and which obviously take time. And as I mentioned earlier, you are getting the interactive listening and reading part twice, which is an extra 10 minutes. So the real test is a bit lengthier than the practice test, and that's a difference between them. All right, so there is one similarity between the practice test and the real test, and that is that when you are taking if you are either taking the practice test or the real test, there will be no examiner uh, in your actual test of Duolingo English test. Like, the format of the test is completely the same as the practice test. In the real test, your test will be controlled by AI, and that will detect your moves during the test. Like, if you break any kind of rules, then AI will automatically detect that, but you not have any sort of examiners or human beings proctoring your test. So that's a similarity between the practice and the real test. And another difference between the practice test and the real test is, of course, with the subscores or the overall scores. So once you complete the practice test, you are getting an estimated range of scores that you can possibly get in the real test. But in the real test, you are getting subscores for four main parts of Duolingo, which is production, literacy, comprehension, and conversation. So that's also a difference. And here, like, many people are asking me this question, that I'm getting 100 to 110 in my practice test, how much will I get in my actual exam? So this is really hard to predict, because uh, in the real test, your subscores will be in four different parts. Maybe you will do pretty well in production, but your literacy scores will be low, and that will affect your overall score. So that's why it's quite harder to estimate your actual test score, the scores from the estimated range of your scores in practice. But no worries, I'm gonna do a complete research on this topic, and I'm gonna make a video which will be quite helpful for you guys. And last but not least, let me answer the question that is the real Duolingo English test harder than the practice test? So I've taken the numerous amount of practice tests, and I've also taken the real tests of Duolingo English test, and I can certainly say that the practice test and the real test are completely similar in terms of hardness. You're getting the same question types, you're getting the same questions, and what I mean by the same question is that you're getting the same questions with the same amount of time and the same amount of difficulty level. So I think this is just a myth that people keep saying that the actual test is harder than the practice test, because in reality they both are completely the same. And one factor which makes the actual test a little bit difficult than the practice test is the pressure that you have while taking the actual test. Like, it is completely normal to have pressure on yourself while sitting into your desktop screen for completely 1 hour, and that pressure causes gives you the feeling that the actual test is a little bit harder, but in reality they both are the same. So I hope this video has cleared all your doubts and solved all your problems regarding the Duolingo English test, the Duolingo practice test and actual test. If you have any sort of doubts regarding this topic, feel free to comment down. I'll be glad to answer. So thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.